everyone, and welcome to Sketching with Sarah. On today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm doing my first ever sketchbook tour on my channel. Now, after recording all of the bits of me talking about everything in my sketchbook, after I cut everything down, it was about 56 minutes, plus or minus, and no one wants to sit through an entire 56 plus or minus minute video, so I chopped it up into 3 sections to make them a little bit more manageable. And honestly, if you guys watched the full 20 minutes, you guys are rock stars, but I know in reality most of you won't, but I figured it's better than doing an hour upload. So this is part 1 of my first sketchbook tour. Let's get started. So I think my date that I started this one on, I don't want to show you too much before I get started here. I started this on September 30th of 2019, and I ended up finishing at the end of Inktober, so most of this will be my Inktober stuff, because I actually, for the first time, did Inktober all the way through without skipping any days or falling behind, which I was super, super proud of myself for. So let's get right on into it. This sketchbook, actually, I want to talk about first. It's a mixed media sketchbook per the cover. But this was actually a sketchbook that I started a while ago, but I decided to reuse the spine and the cover and the back because it's really sturdy and stuff, so I decided to take this out and add watercolor paper in and some other mixed media paper that was left over in this book, just to kind of get a fresh start my fall semester in school. So here we go. So this is my welcome page, and as you can see, there's a bippo, a beaver hippo. So he's my little Ben the Bippo guy here. And this is Josh the Snostrich. He's a snake ostrich, obviously. Him, I feel like he's a very like, oh, hi, I'm, hello, you know, a little bit sweet and shy and bashful. I actually came up with him for my children's book that I wrote and illustrated. I haven't illustrated it to the point where I feel like it's publishable yet, but I have the very beginnings of it, at least a very good rough draft of everything, so hopefully by the end of the year I can start finalizing that and make a physical book and everything like that. Ooh. my desk here was just like, because I have a giant board here on my table so that it's easier, protects the table as well. So this is my first welcome page. Welcome to my sketchbook, September 30, 2019, and I finished it at the end of Inktober. So a lot of these drawings in here are actually from Inktober, and since it's a smaller sketchbook, I was able to fill it pretty quick because it is small, and I do like to fill as much as I can on each page so that I don't waste any of it. And I do this on my new sketchbook now too, because I did start a new sketchbook after this one, and I decided to use this giant sketchbook instead, and you've seen this sketchbook in my previous videos, but it's quite large. It is 9 by 12, so I love this sketchbook so much. I haven't done the cover yet, but I think I'm going to do that for a future video. Or maybe when I finish this sketchbook, I'll do that cover for the video and then do a sketchbook tour after that. But right now I'm about almost halfway through this one. It's taking me a little bit longer because obviously the pages are larger, so the same size sketches will fill these pages quicker than this one, obviously, because these are much bigger. So that's my sketchbook that I'm working on now, but we're not talking about that one, we're talking about this one. So this is my welcome page, like I said. So this Snostrich guy is Josh. He's very like, let's go, come on, let's do this. He's very fast and energetic. He's getting on ready to go into the sketchbook, so let's get started. So I got a commission during this time when I first started the sketchbook. It was a commission for my friend's D&D characters and his D&D character's companion. So this is all the info about that character that I took notes from his description, a little bit about her and things like that. And then this is Bobo, he's her companion guy, and I took some notes on his description as well and a little bit of his background and everything. So these are notes and some primary sketches that I did of Bobo. So yeah, basically I did this in colorized pencil because I just started using them and I really enjoy using them because they don't transfer, like when you flip pages or whatever, they don't transfer onto the other page as much as graphite does. So that's another reason I like using these, because you can see in the end of my sketchbook on some of my later pages, when it's graphite sketches and then graphite sketches, they really do kind of mix together in a way that makes it harder to look at after the fact. So I apologize for that in the future, but that's just kind of what's going on. That's why I started using these colorized pencils, not only because they're colorful and I like using colors, it's better for transfer purposes for me to look back at my sketchbook. Like I said, this is kind of the brainstorming page, kind of taking notes and starting to brainstorm. And this is kind of like a sketch I did of her to begin with. General sketch, some like different poses and things. This is her staff and her necklace that she wears. I kind of did some close-ups of those. And on this page, I started brainstorming some animal hybrids. I love doing animal hybrids. I think they're so fun. For this one, I decided to combine a goose and a seahorse, just cause. For this page, I actually was thinking about animals that I don't really like and animals that I do really like, and to combine those. So on my campus at school, there's a lot of geese, and I'm not scared of them, but I do try to avoid them just because I hear stories all the time on how vicious they are and they hiss and stuff. I've had my fair share of protective daddy geese hissing at you when you walk by, so that's always fun. That was kind of the idea for these, so I'm not a fan of possums very much. I think they're a little bit creepy, but to my surprise, after drawing these possums so much and really like appreciating how they look, they kind of grew on me. So I think they're pretty adorable now, honestly. Like, their little fingers are so cute. They used to weird me out before, but I swear, now that I'm like drawing them all the time to make this hybrid, I kind of love them now. You know, that's another power of drawing, I guess. So yeah, these are some just sketches of the animals separately, and then I combined them for these, and I was kind of brainstorming what to call them. So I decided to call this one a bassum because it's a bat possum. And I had, like, you know, batsum, like a poss bat. I was like, that sounds like a disease. I decided to use bassum. And then this is a sea goose, and I was like, goose, horse, so sea goose, this is sea goose. Also, all the materials that I use in this sketchbook, I will link in the description as well, including my sketchbook that I use now, because this one, like I said, it's kind of a hybrid of all kinds of paper that I put together. Check that out if you're interested. So this page, I was brainstorming my first illustration for my illustration class, and the prompt for this illustration was delicately adorned. So I really wanted to use my animal hybrids, but I was also, as soon as I heard delicately adorned, I thought of the Cinderella scene with all those birds dressing Cinderella up in all those pretty jewelries and her dress and everything, and kind of like sewing the stuff and the ribbons and everything. It's kind of how I pictured the delicately adorned part, because, you know, the birds are very delicate and graceful, wrapping this around Cinderella and making her look all beautiful. So of course I wanted to do something like that, but since I just created these Bassam guys, I needed to include him, so I have them dressing up my Snostrich character, but instead of Josh the Snostrich, like I made, where is it? First page, on my welcome page, I decided to make her a cobra, and I decided to make her a she. Ostrich males have the black with the white feathering, but since Sasha's a girl, she will have more of a brown and beige coloring on her feathers, like female ostriches do. So I decided to make her a female, obviously, so those are the colorings for her, and then I made her a cobra. And I was really inspired by Arabian, Hindu, Indian fashion, I guess. I know I looked at a lot of references for like wedding jewelry and things like that, and I was really inspired by it, how beautiful and how delicate, I guess, they look, and how much there goes into it. They do wear a lot of it, especially in those wedding photos I looked at. And this was kind of the brainstorm before I kind of really actually started sketching, so I wanted to draw these Bassam guys. I found some references of bats flying and kind of combined them with possums here. And this was kind of like the rough, like, I didn't know I wanted her to be a cobra yet, and I didn't really know much about what kind of pose I wanted. And then I brainstormed for a little while that I wanted to do my sea turtle here, because they fly too, and I was just like, but I decided to stick with these guys because they're more delicate and floaty, I guess. For him, I feel like he's very, you know, he's a sea turtle, so he's very, you know, rock solid and everything. But I felt like it would be more delicate if we had these bat, possum, bassam guys just dressing up this Snostrich. So I named her Sasha, by the way, Sasha the Snostrich. So that's her. And then I did a final illustration later. I didn't obviously put the final illustration because it's digital in my sketchbook, but I do have some finer sketches in here. All right, so this is some more in-depth planning for this illustration that I talked about in the previous page. So I kind of was playing with like the composition. If I wanted her to be really extravagant and just very sassy and have a lot of character, so I kind of had her like with this back expression where her head's back and she's very like, look at me kind of thing. And then I played around with the composition, maybe putting a mandala in the back, which I did end up doing, so it made the illustration go full circle, and it helped the eye kind of go around it a lot better. So I did end up keeping that mandala part, I just changed the posing a little bit. I started actually looking at, I think it was in Fantasia. It was like an ostrich ballet animation, and I was super inspired by it. So I started kind of doing some sketches on, you know, maybe if I gave her a little bit more personality, like she's still like, ah, look at me, but she's not like, oh my god, I'm a princess type deal. And then on this sketch, I also kind of played around with some jewelry ideas, and since she's a cobra, I wanted to add and make it look like she was wearing earrings and like very designy like that. And I did give her more of a sassy posture, which I really enjoy. And again, I got all this inspired by watching that Disney animation of the ostrich ballerinas. I was rewatching that over and over again. I was really inspired by how they moved and how just like their wings were really just like arms, like it had an elbow and stuff. And I mean, they don't have elbows like that, but you know, I was just very inspired by how humanoid they ended up looking and how graceful, and they just had a lot of character, so I really picked up on that and was inspired by that. So then I kind of redrew these guys in here a little bit. You know, maybe they're lifting this very extravagant necklace here, delicately adorning her, and then I kind of kept that mandala idea in the background for myself. And then here I decided, you know, I did a lot of these vertical ones, and I was like, oh, what if I did a horizontal one? And I didn't feel like redrawing all of that, so I kind of just blacked them out here. And then I played a little bit more with the mandala idea by fleshing that out just a little bit more. And I took some notes here, and I was looking at bridal jewelry, Arabian bridal jewelry, Arabian ostrich, Arabian Egyptian cobras, bad possum. So this was kind of like my note taking to show my professor, just to kind of show her where my ideas are going. I didn't want to draw all of the, you know, intricate stuff here. This was kind of more brainstorming for compositional wise ideas, and so I still labeled, like I wanted her headdress to kind of be here, neck jewelry, necklace jewelry, bangles, and things like that too, before I ended up starting to draw those. Something else that I wanted to mention is that I know on this first sketch here, like, their feet do not look like this. And before I actually started looking at references, like obviously like what the heck, that they don't, like that is just wrong. So then I actually like seriously started looking at their ostrich reference photos and started sketching from them, and I'm like, they do not look like that. So when I started looking at them for real, I noticed that, okay, they have like this nub. This is even still wrong. They don't have two claws, they just have the one with the nub here. So I learned a lot from, you know, this sketch to this one, because I was actually seriously looking, and also I was inspired by that Ballet and Disney Fantasia animation there. So again, I was like and here I was, you know, planning like, oh, I should move him a little bit more this way, maybe make him smaller, because he does awkwardly, before he was cut off, and then I put it a little bit more, I was like, I just want to keep it here, but I'll just move him up. So it's kind of a little bit of planning there. And like I said, this is the prompt that I had for this illustration. I was like, nostalgia. So this is kind of like my pitch, I guess, to my professor, just to kind of show her where I'm going with this. So I did take all these notes so I could remember to explain to her what inspired me and why I came up with this stuff. Alright, so in this semester, oh god, I was taking a life drawing class as well, and for one of our homework assignments, we had to do a self-portrait of ourselves, but obviously before I did these self-portraits, I had already drawn an idea for Sasha's legs here, what kind of jewelry I would have on those, but yeah, so I didn't want to waste all this space, so I was like, oh, I'll just do some practice sketches of my face. They don't, you know, they kind of look like me, but, you know, I don't know, looking at him, I'm just like, my nose is a little bit bigger, and my lip does not do that. So, but yeah, it was kind of like an exercise for that class. These are very like loose gesture kind of sketches here, like, you know, it's very scratchy. But I was kind of mostly just preparing for this, and I'm not super thrilled with it, but you know, it's an exercise. We had to combine a fear and like our spirit animal, so of course I picked a ferret guy. They're super awkward and clumsy and silly. I really identify with these ferret guys. I'm also a little bit wheezy on heights, so I'm not like petrified, like I can't move, but definitely not comfortable looking down. But this is kind of the idea that I had in the beginning, having me looking down over something and this ferret being like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's whatever. And then on the page before I had like a little blurb about myself, because that was just another exercise that we needed to do to turn in our sketchbook for my life drawing class. Alright, so this page I had a little bit more, you know, description. My spirit animal's a ferret or an otter. They're clumsy, and this is kind of like my idea of why I chose this animal to begin with for my spirit animal. And that's another reason Sketching with Sarah has ferret eel guys. animal hybrid characters that I came up with on my YouTube banner and kind of my brand type dealio here on YouTube and my social medias. So that's a hybrid that I made for my spirit animal, and I feel like those I really identify more with. But for this class, I was like, I'll just pick a real animal, and I chose ferrets. So there's some sketches about how, you know, loosey-goosey they are and very snake glob-like, I guess. And very stealthy. I don't know, just kind of random drawings of them, just kind of learn a little bit about how their anatomy works and whatever. And then here's my watercolor page that I added into it. And I was like, oh, what if I'm kind of, you know, trying to step over this cliff here. Like, if you can imagine, this is just sky, and there's like a cliff here, and like this ferret guy is like, oh, let's just go, whatever. And then I'm just like, not feeling that. So I'm kind of like dipping my toe, kind of just preparing myself. Alright, here I was doing a little bit more sketching, kind of coming up with a new composition idea for that illustration with my fear and my spirit animal. And then I've decided to kind of go of a more, you know, self-portrait kind of way here with my ferret guy over my shoulder here, and, you know, the proportions are pretty off on my face here. It doesn't really look like me. I mean, it has some features that look like me, but, you know, my nose is a little bit different and whatever. But it was mostly just kind of for compositional purposes and a sketch to show my professor kind of where I'm going with this. And I think the ferret should be a lot bigger, which I ended up changing in my final drawing. But yeah, these are just some more sketches for that drawing. Here's some notes on some editorials I got to choose from for my next illustration for my illustration class. But yeah, here I'm starting to kind of brainstorm. Here's now crocodile with the Egyptian plover, picking at his teeth, cleaning his teeth, but also getting food from the alligator. Or not alligator, crocodile. Yeah, crocodile. And then here's just like a fun animal hybrid I came up with, like a fox and a squirrel. I don't know what to call them, like a squirrelox? That's really hard to say. He's just a little fun character I made. And then this is like a more, jeez, this hand is so tiny. And my face is just, it's challenging to draw your face from like an upward angle like that. Not only is it not flattering, but it's just, yeah, no. That's not even really what I look like. The only thing I really got in this that looks like me is my hair, and that's not hard to do. So, but again, this is just kind of like a thumbnail just to get the composition. I wanted my head to be here, the ferret here, my hand here, even though the hand should be bigger, and blah, blah, blah. So, alright, so now we're brainstorming for my illustration class. I was doing an editorial about office chit-chat, how it could help you get better relationships with your coworkers, and it could benefit you in the long run. That's a dog hair. I decided to mix a now crocodile, alligator, I guess, with a giraffe. This was a hybrid that I came up with a while ago for a toy design that I did, and he kind of just stuck along with me for a lot of my projects thereafter. So I decided to refine him a little bit, really try and blend the giraffe-ness into the crocodile alligator-ness a little bit more. He does look like a dinosaur. He looks like a dinosaur. There's the bird picking at his teeth here to get the food and cleaning his teeth. So this is kind of how I came up with that dentist idea. You know, it's a job, it's an occupation, I guess, for these animals, but, and then this is like the mouth of a giraffe with the, he looks like he's being eaten by this mouth, but he's really just hanging off of him, and, you know, I roughly drew him here. In the reference, I think he's a little bit more hooked onto this tooth here, but I kind of just was quickly sketching him for another, like, general idea of how they could be hanging off the mouth here. So, yeah. He looks like he's killing him. Thank you guys so much for watching this first part of my sketchbook tour. Stay tuned for my second upload of part 2 for this sketchbook tour this coming Friday. And if you like some of my drawings in this video, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear which ones were your favorite or which ones were the cringiest, because I definitely feel some of those are pretty cringy. One of the reasons I figured I would do this sketchbook tour for you guys is, one, I finished this sketchbook a while ago and I really enjoyed some of the sketches I ended up doing in this one, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you guys what I've been up to in this sketchbook. It is from, I think, late September to the end of October, so it is a little bit old, but it's the first sketchbook I actually finished from front to back, so I thought this would be a good starting point to do some sketchbook tours. Now, since I am doing the sketchbook tour into 3 different parts, I will still be uploading every Friday to stay consistent, but I figured I would do this in more of a batch so that I could have these all ready and set for me to upload still consistently, but also give myself a little bit of a break from YouTube behind the scenes so that I could focus on finalizing my portfolio to graduate at the end of the semester. So please bear with me. I appreciate all the support from my last videos, and I will be linking part 2 and 3 once those are out in the description of this video, and the same goes for part 2 and 3. I'll be linking the other 2 in the description for there as well. All of the supplies that I've been using in this sketchbook tour so far, I will be linking in the description below, so if you're interested, please go and check those out, as well as my social media, and I will be linking the 2 upcoming parts of this sketchbook tour in the description as well once those are uploaded. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.